Some of yesterday's setups hit their profit targets, but let's see what trades I'm watching today and why. First, I'll quickly go over what we discussed yesterday because, as you know, we talked about a few simple setups based on the same rules. Here we had a consolidation zone after the breakout, retest, stop loss at the zone, entry at the zone, stop loss below the structure. Take profit 1 to 2, and then after we also crossed 74,000, we saw that we had a new little consolidation which also breaks out, retests, stop loss below the consolidation. And we see it was hit perfectly, including this 1 to 2 setup. And right now, this setup on this broader consolidation would be in play, which I'm watching right now, but I don't like that it was broken and retested very aggressively. Given that, crossing a very important zone, we should have seen buying aggressiveness and the price to move more diagonally when it comes to the retest. Now, with these particular criteria in mind, let's take a moment to see how things are shaping up when we look at everything on a higher time frame. Right now, it gives the impression we're in a breakout retest zone. We have that setup we discussed earlier, but if we were to think about new executions right now, we have to consider the following aspect. We have a potential downtrend. Once we cross 74,000, we can talk about the potential end of this downtrend. The retest came, and now we need to see a continuation. When we look at the daily chart, according to the daily chart, the next setups I'd be interested in would only be above this high because we'd enter new territory where the price would be dominated by buyers. Let's see how things would look on a smaller time frame as well. If we were to execute based on what I see on a smaller time frame here, I'd look at this retest to see if I have a bullish flag, but we see we have more of an equally aggressive move, and I can't draw a bullish flag to be able to follow a buy setup from the moment the bullish flag is broken. But instead, I see another aspect. I see yet another consolidation in this area. And this way, I could guide myself based on this consolidation throughout today to think about executing this way. After the consolidation breakout, to see if it can offer me a 1 to 2 take profit up to the previous high. So these would be the buy setups I'd follow. But because the breakout happened, and if the price doesn't stay above 74,000, I can think about sell trades, but that doesn't mean I open them here. No, sell trades, in my view, will be taken below the previous day's low because once the price goes below the previous day's low, it would mean that absolutely any long setup didn't deliver. It didn't produce the desired effect. Investors aren't that strong. And from that point on, so below this zone of 72,300, we enter bearish territory. And from there, I'd only look for sell trades. Another aspect that still gives me some peace of mind regarding this retest idea, as I told you, is the USDT dominance. Because what's happening here? On the USDT dominance, I see the following aspect. Here we have a consolidation that was slightly below these lows, and now this consolidation is being retested. That's exactly why we could still be in a bullish setup for the whole market. But we need to see the downward movement continue from here to give investors more confidence. Because as you know very well, the vast majority of the market is following the bear market theory right now. Another thing I proposed yesterday, and I see it also had an effect in case you wanted to execute on other coins. I was telling you, we have this sideways movement after the breakout. On the retest, we're guided by total 3 and execute on other coins. We see that if we had taken an execution, according to total 3, the profit target was hit here as well. Right now, I'm not interested in anything on other coins because, as I said, the impulsive move was more diagonal, while the downward move was much more aggressive. That's why, personally, I'd stay a bit on the sidelines. Maybe I'd execute on other coins depending on potential setups. Yeah, if I see a move above this consolidation and based on a Bitcoin execution, I'd go for other coins. But you have all these things in the free course. I'll explain at the end how to get it because they cost you nothing. Let's see what we have on the S&P because yesterday on the S&P, I told you I was interested in some buy trades. After the price moved above this area, we see they worked quite well, including here. You see these out. Consolidation, breakout, retest. Here again, consolidation. We didn't have a breakout. After the breakout, we didn't have a retest, and it hit these previous highs, which I told you represent a profit target because the price didn't stay in this zone to consolidate, and we have a more aggressive reaction to the downside, at least on the S&P side. Today, I'd stay on the sidelines, and in fact, I'd stay on the sidelines until the price manages to break above these highs. From the moment it breaks above these highs, it would enter a zone where I'd be interested in continuation trades to follow the price as it moves toward the next resistance zones. And here we're in a no trade zone from my point of view. So let's see on gold. I told you yesterday I'm watching this potential setup on gold because this consolidation is very obvious. You know the reasons very well. We had this rising wedge. We had this rising wedge, a false breakout at the top, and a valid breakout at the bottom. Consolidation with a false breakout at the top, and now we're heading toward a valid breakout at the bottom. That's why I'm looking for a potential short setup based on this consolidation. Okay, on oil, I left you the sell trade, which we see has produced the desired effect. I was looking for sell trades below this support zone with the stop loss above the consolidation, and it hit the profit target. Right now, oil has also reached a zone where, at least for the moment, I wouldn't be that interested in trading. I see it might have a trend line here. Yes, an uptrend started and was broken. It also has a double top here, but at least at the point where it is right now, I'm not necessarily interested in trading. If I were to go for an intraday trade today, I would wait, possibly. Let's see. Let's take a look. We see that here as well. There's a trend, a double top with a retest in the form of a bearish flag. Let me see how this one would look, yes, in the golden pocket zone. Here, maybe there's a small trade I'd take if we get a breakout of this trend line. And I see that this zone, you see it, is very important as a support and resistance zone. And I'd go for a setup like this, yes, after their breakout. I see here that I really like this consolidation and, of course, a 1 to 2 trade. It bothers me a bit that I can't take my profit down to these lows because it would be preferable to take profit at these lows. But still, based on the current move, if we consider that even this trend I mentioned earlier, yes, an uptrend was broken. It was broken after retesting this zone I was watching yesterday. And that's why I want to see if it will continue through the rest of the day today. But as I said, a trade like this today has a much lower risk because there's nothing very clear in the bearish direction. A zone where I'd take trades with much more confidence in the bearish direction would clearly be below the previous day's low, because this zone here is already very important. And I know that if it manages to break below this zone, things are very, very clear. And the possibility of breaking below this zone is directly correlated with the events in the Iran area and with what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. And if ships have truly started passing through there, that's why I'm still looking at short trades throughout the day today. Good. The DXY, I was telling you yesterday, I was interested in longs on the euro side as we had a false breakout move at this resistance zone. Then on a smaller time frame, we had a double top, and that's why I thought we'd see a continuation. The same thing I'm looking for today, because I expect a continuation of this move on the DXY, automatically a rise on the euro. We see that similarly, the setups I've followed, setups here. And I was telling you I'd be interested after the price breaks above this high zone to see if it retests the top. And it seems that's exactly what it did. Look how nice this setup was here, too. So we see that even in the current situation, the long setup I mentioned with the stop loss below structure, of course, let's see 1 to 2. So look, just barely. So it barely hit almost 1 to 2. Of course, with small adjustments, the setup would have been interesting too. And right now, if I'm thinking about the continuation of the move, I see, of course, yet another consolidation below a resistance zone, which, as you've seen, I like very much. I find it the most relevant setup. And so I'd go with such an idea in case we get a breakout, retest, because from a higher time frame perspective, I consider us to be in an uptrend at the moment, and I'm going with this impulse on the continuation of this move. As I told you, those who want to get the free trading course, if you create an account on BingX using my affiliate link, go through the verification steps. You also have some bonuses here, and then do a volume of $100 and message me at the email in the description. I'll provide the course 100% free, where you'll understand much better this whole strategy that I use. And all that's left for me is to wish you a wonderful day ahead. Good luck with everything you've planned. And of course, last but not least, smile more often because it costs you nothing.